It is pointless to resist.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Sarlacc Digest, a podcast bringing you line talk and digesting Star Wars topics over 1,000 years. This is episode 235, being recorded on November 15th, Life Day week. Life Day's in 2 days, everybody. Look at that shirt Scott Solo's got on.
It's awful, but I love it. Happy Life Day, everybody.
Yeah. That is the greatest tagline. Life Day, it's awful, but I love it. Well, especially the holiday edition, you know, because you in that little This Week in History, it did air this day. I don't know,
1979.
That long ago.
Yes.
That long ago.
Yes.
Well, anyway, I'm your host, Darth Moocher. Got Scott Solo here with me.
What's up, nerds?
Got Bootleg Joe.
Hey, yo, nerds.
Happy belated birthday, buddy.
We have Joey's older. Joey's older.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you know, Ernie the Fallen Fett is sick. So everybody wish him well-beings over there so he gets better to get back on track. And Chris is out and about painting the town red. So, but we do have a guest that we'll bring here pretty soon to kind of fill the ranks in here and get going on an awesome topic, because this week is Shadow Council topic week, which we'll get to in one moment. But before we do all that stuff, we've got our Shadow Council to shout out, plus the pit that's being digested as we speak. And Scott, if you can muster up a voice just for like 2 minutes, and then you can relax for a little bit. So take it away.
I will do my darndest here. I too am sick, so bear with me, everybody. Welcome, one and all, and a special shout out to our Shadow Council. Without you, I wouldn't have the cough drops that I need in order to get through this without hacking up a lung. So
They're
a special
expired, but
shout-out-
they work.
I know, right? A special shout out to AJ from the Forbidden Panel, Brandon and Anya Epler, Cliff, Crystal, Dennis McGrath, Don the Dad Dorn, Eric Grubb, Flavy Davy, formerly of the Nerds with Attitude podcast. I'm going to skip this next guy right here. Justin the Vanilla Thunder, Mervine Bolanos, Matt Logic, Papa Schmitty, Ryan and the Star Joes podcast, and the always amazing Gavin Connor from the All Cure Holy Hour podcast. The dude, he gives the best shout out. So I just figured this time I'd give him the final shout.
So it wasn't like anything special that you skipped him. It was just
no, not at all. No,
okay, all right.
I don't know why I would skip. No, but if you are interested in joining the Shadow Council, please feel free to scan that QR code right there. Join up. We try to keep it as cheap as possible for you to give you the best bang for your buck. We've got bonus content. We've got discounts available. We've got special secret shows. We've got past shows, etc. So
Beautiful.
That being said, let me shout out who is being digested right now. We've got Don the Dad Dorn. We have got Antonio Longo joining us for the very first time live, which is great. He is the co-host of the All Cure Holy Hour podcast.
Nice.
He is also a big fan of ours, so it's really, really nice to see him in there.
Thank you. Welcome.
We've got Gavin Connor. That guy, Jesus, he just keeps popping up everywhere. I know. He's everywhere.
He's a linger.
He is. It's like you expect him to just pop up out of nowhere anytime, We've got Bootleg Joe in there. He's not only below us, but he's in there as well. We've got Santo 1414.
You skipped Crystal E, the high.
I did skip Crystal E. Sorry about that, Crystal. It's the cold brain. It's got me frazzled. We've got Master Genobi in there.
Welcome.
So whoever else might be in there, give us a shout out. Let us know how you're doing. Say hi. We'll say hi back.
Right. That's right.
We're cool like that.
We are cool like that. Well, we do have a guest waiting in the wings, and I don't want him to sit there and feel left out this whole time because he is actually one of like the behind the scenes contributor. He's always in the pit. He's always keeping it positive. I know that you've been on his podcast for a while. So we do have our Shadow Council topic for today. So let's go ahead and
Shadow Council topic of the month. It is pitched our idea for a Star Wars movie or series from Gavin Connor. Oh my God, he's here.
Welcome, Gavin Connor.
Yeah, everyone thought I was going to be like a big celebrity guest or something,
Yeah, you're like, oh my gosh, what did you get today? It's Gavin Connor.
Just me. Hello.
Yes. Well, welcome to the show again, man. Everybody in the pit, say hello to Gavin. He's going to join us today as, like I said, filling in the ranks as we kind of break down the latest and greatest in Star Wars. And of course, we do have our Shadow Council topic of the month, which is pitch a movie idea or a show. Could be a backstory, a single show, a trilogy, whatever it is. We'll kind of go round robin here and do that. It was Gavin's suggestion on there, and we got the most votes. We were like, hey, you know what? Let's just get him in here and do it. So
trying to think of a way to crawl out of the pit like Boba Fett, So
yeah,
now here I am for a minute.
All you need, instead of a stormtrooper laying closely by, all you need is a microphone and a webcam.
There you go.
It's that easy to get into. Yes. So as far as like Star Wars news, before we get into our like topics today, the only thing that I can find out there was Short Round himself, Ki-Hu Kwan, went up to Kathleen Kennedy during the Oscars and gave her a hug and says, "I want to be in Star Wars. Put me in a Star Wars movie." He said, I was shameless. I was like, I just went up to her and said, "I'm in the MCU. I want to be in Star Wars." I bring that up because maybe in our talks today, one of us may be casting him in our idea. I don't know. So find a place that you might want to put Short Round himself in our topics. And because of the writer strike ending and the actor strike ending, this is our time to shine and pitch Disney and Lucasfilm the ideas moving forward, right? So this is like
ideas.
yeah. So when they have us on their little round table writing room, they have the Starlight Digest up there, and they're like, okay, these guys are ideas. They're idea machines, and so.
There's gonna be some intern just like flipping through this, going,
yeah.
How about
At 12:45, Joey says this, and it's like boom, and it's like yeah. So then we can.
There it is.
Yeah. Our only stipulation is just put us in there as a background character. I don't care.
That'll be
make
fine.
us all Twi'leks.
I'm good with that.
I don't think we can play anything else. But yeah, guys. So let's see. I'll kick it off here and try to kind of like stir the pot and get the juices going and everything, and then you guys jump in and you can kind of agree or kind of like theorycraft within how I'm gonna do this, because as everybody knows and has been listening to this shows, I'm a Old Republic guru. I love the Old Republic. As besides the original trilogy, the Old Republic is one of my favorite legends at this point. Hopefully be canon one day soon. And I'm all about the Revan, like Darth Revan and the Revan trilogy, right? But I kind of like, I know not everybody knows the whole story, so I'm going to kind of outline a trilogy that I want, that I'm pitching to Disney. It's going to go back, and it's going to be episodes 1, 2, and 3, and it's the Old Republic trilogy, but it's Darth Revan's story, and it's centered around him and his rise and fall and inevitable redemption, and then of course the whole galactic war taking place. So I'm just going to kind of go over my 3-part trilogy, movie, theatrical, revitalizing Star Wars. This is going to get it. This is what the kids are going to start buying Darth Revan figures, just like they did Darth Vader back in the day. This is the plan to move forward, to revitalize a new generation of Star Wars fans. Okay. I'm really kind of hyping it up. It's going to fall flat in here in 2 seconds. But I do have some casting also that I want, and some directors that I have picked out of my little hat, and not everybody can pick Peter Jackson around here. Okay, guys. He's like,
I was like trying to look at ones. I was like, that's probably a little out.
yeah, right. I don't think he's doing anything, but anyway. So my it's the Old Republic trilogy. Episode 1, and they're gonna have a prologue. It's almost set in a time like Lord of the Rings. How Lord of the Rings has this 5-minute prologue, getting us up to speed to where we're at, and then we're thrust into this story going forward. And so again, I know not a lot of people don't know a lot about Darth Revan or Revan and what went on, so I'll kind of like outline it here. The prologue is you're gonna find that the Jedis went to war with Mandalore, the planet Mandalore, and Mandalore the Conqueror. Revan and his apprentice Malak were the Jedi saviors. They were Jedi knights, and they went in there and just beat and conquered them, and just totally decimated the Mandalorians and everything like that. So that was like they were like the heroes of the Republic back then. And the same thing in the prologue. So they go into searching for the Emperor now at this point. They get kind of manipulated and twisted in everything, and nobody knows where Malak and Revan went. They disappeared for long periods of time, and then these 2 Sith Lords came back and went to war with the Jedi, and they end up being Revan and Malak. So I want the movie to start off with episode 1, the Agents of Evil. So it's going to take place as Malak and Revan just doing their thing, just kind of raging across and waging war against the Republic at this time, and the Jedis at this time, and nobody knows who they are, and then they get the reveal, like, oh my god, these are the heroes of the Republic that were now they're Sith Lords. Okay, so we go through that journey, and of course, Revan's journey goes from light to dark, and then it splits into like this dark energy and light energy, and he has 2 essences. And so and then at the same time, my episode 2 would be called Empire at War. And it's the Sith Empire coming back full force, because now they got Revan and Malak behind them. And now the Emperor has come, there. Now we're going to instate our Sith Empire to rule against, the Republic. Now, this is not the rule of 2. We have thousands of Sith. We have thousands of Jedi. We have a Sith Council. We have Jedi Council. And this is the formation of all that, right? And then we And this movie, we also see the fall of Darth Revan and Malak. They were betrayed again, and Malak was presumed dead, and so was Revan presumed dead. Episode 3 takes place where Revan is now kind of like has amnesia, doesn't know who he is, and he's going with in the path of a Jedi again, but also remembering that he was just a Sith Lord, but also a new Jedi, and who was responsible for all these things. My episode 3 is called The Old Republic, or not The Old Republic, Light of the Republic, and this is where we get into that whole mythos of dark side, light side, Revan redemption, splitting himself apart, fighting the emperor, and all that stuff. So anyway, that's the nutshell. I mean, so many details that go in with it. We just don't have time.
Yeah, for a whole trilogy, that is definitely the Cliff Notes version of it. Yeah.
But see, like Revan's story to me, and again, it's such a roller coaster, and it's such a emotional thing to go through, just like Anakin's story. So it kind of mirrors it, but in a different way. Now you're getting into like this mortis, different ways of the Force, where Revan can, when he dies both times, his essence splits, and you have a dark side Revan and a light side Revan, and those are the two that were in conflict with each other, and inevitably light side overtakes. Yeah, and it's a whole thing, so Revan dies at the end, and then you can have a Disney Plus show spinning off called The Cult of Revan, like 1,000 years in the kind of all these spin-offs. So that's my pitch. Yeah.
Not that one. Real quick, we want to give a big shout out to Julie from Alaska. Thank you so much, Julie. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Junobi.
Good seeing you. Good seeing you. Yes, very much. Purple hearts all around. Thank you.
Yes.
So for the Revan stuff, if you don't mind me asking a couple of questions, because I'm not as I know the images, and from what you guys have talked about, is it based on books or is it a game mostly?
So it was a video game that came. Yeah, it was a video game that came back. It was an Xbox exclusive. It was called Knights of the Old Republic, and then they came up with Knights of the Republic 2 Sith Lords. They made a whole MMO version of the game that's still live today that I do play, and then a slew of books. Went on, they had Revan books and all these things, and the books made that simple storyline. I mean, it's a complicated yet simple at the time, but they made it more convoluted and everything. So I'm kind of basing my trilogy very much more on the games and bringing in stuff, but in a different in a Lord of the Rings type way, where we're already thrust into. We don't need to see Revan as a Jedi fighting Mandalore. I want already him be like this mystery figure that disappeared,
Right.
And then we have Malak too, which was his apprentice. He was his Padawan as a Jedi. He was an apprentice when he came back as Sith Lord, and then they fought. That and it's just like Revan's the one who came back. It's like this massive thing that done right, it could be awesome. Yeah, it really could be awesome. And then the whole Sith Empire, like instead of like. You have a Sith Council with dark side users, and they've been on what's their home world? Oh my god,
Malachor, not Malachor,
Korriban
or Moraband, depending.
Yeah, Moraband, whatever Lucas wants. So like they're there, and they've been there the whole time, but they made themselves known at this point, and it's an ongoing thing. The Old Republic spans a lot of years where you have two ruling factions, and they're at war for thousands of years, and it's just a struggle until the Bane trilogy comes out and says rule of two, you can't do this because they have the Sith Civil War and all that. But
everybody always assumes that Darth Bane was kind of the first of the big bads, the one who created the rule of two, but there was a whole lot that went on before Darth Bane, which
a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
Bane was the one who started this, like, look, we are not surviving the way we should be surviving. So we need to pull back and restructure what the Sith rules are and what we're doing, right? And then Plagueis came along and did even further. Like, we're not going to war, and we're going to go political, But I do feel like in the Old Republic, especially like Darth Revan days, there was this not a real understanding of how this works still. So there we've never seen a Jedi go full Jedi and full Sith and then split into like these essences, which he's actually dead, but then his spirit, has to fulfill these things, and then he dies. He dies at the end. It kind of is redemption, but again, it's like his light side splits to redeem him, but the dark side is overpowered and never gets redeemed. It's like a weird it's a different way of doing the Anakin story. You know what I mean? And it is love, and it is a lot of stuff that goes along why Revan comes back. And I mean, there's a lot more details to, I try to make it simple. But I'm looking at it like Lord of the Rings type stuff, 3-hour movies, man. Like
super
getting
epic.
Prologues and thrust right in the middle of his story. And then we kind of get these hints going forward. Cause I always feel like some Star Wars trilogies always give us like linear, instead of the original trilogy was very good at like period of Civil War. This is what's happening. Vader's this huge figure. I like that a lot better than like, Anakin's here, and then and then you see every step up until Vader, and it's it loses its mystique. You know what I mean? And I'm
not sure if it was like last episode or one recently where you guys were talking about that, with like the idea of like doing other stuff, but it'd be totally new, but at the same time, there's enough familiar Star Wars stuff in it to make it. But that's what would be cool about it, because it would be like such a cool, all new character.
There's source material.
Anybody be around?
Yeah.
Would there be Yoda, even little baby Yoda? Is this way before all that?
This is about 3,000 years before.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's before Yoda. It's before anything familiar,
Not so. Hu Yang would be around.
You're right. Hu Yang would be around.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So who's your chosen director then would be Peter Jackson?
Well, okay. And no, but yes, at the same time, like I would love Peter Jackson because here's the thing. And Chris had mentioned this in our chat. He knows how to get trilogies done. Like he will do the absolute research and put everything into it, as it just how I structured it. And he would make sure these names and these places and these things mean something. It's not just something just for banter. He will do the research to it. My other choices were Luc Besson, because I love The Fifth Element. I love The Professional. And I think he's very good at storytelling. And I think Revan has a good storytelling element to it that needs, it's not just battles and lightsabers, and then of course, Tony Gilroy and Gareth Edwards as a team go in there and just knock it out of the park like they did Rogue One and Tony Gilroy with Andor and stuff. So those are my director's choices. Now, as far as casting, I only put down 2 is Malik and Revan as the main, because there's a whole bunch of members. But what was interesting, I was talking to my son about this, and we were talking about Revan, like, because Keanu Reeves comes up everywhere. Put Keanu Reeves in it. There's sketches, and it looks great. I also thought like, would be my son even said Sam Witwer, put him in there. He's got a great look. He's got a great heroic look and a villain look that he can play both roles. I don't know about his acting chops, like, you know what I mean, right? Like the physical acting. I know the voice is down. So
I saw he was in Smallville for a while before he was hired on to to play in the Clone Wars to do voiceover acting. And,
so
he was pretty good in Smallville.
I like him, and I always try, like with Star Wars, we always try to like cast a little bit closer to our heart, not like Hollywood casting, right? So we really try to like, okay, let's not go Tom Cruise. Let's go like these other actors that can bring it forward, my 2 main. So, okay, those are my honorable mentions. Like Sam Witwer would be very curious to see. I think that would be a great homage, and somebody from the Star Wars universe put it into a Revan role and knock it out of the park.
Somebody who actually understands the everything about Star Wars too.
You put him with Peter Jackson, and you put him with Tony Gilroy, it's like gold. It's gold. It's printing money for Disney. So Revan, Richard Madden, and Malik is Ishmael Cruz Cordova. Now, Richard Madden is Robb Stark from Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Yeah. And Ishmael Cruz Cordova is the elf from Rings of Power. He and something, I forgot his name.
Oh, right. Yeah, the one who is defending the town with
yes. I like him a lot, and I just finished watching Rings of Power again, and I'm like, dude's great. He's great, and he would be put him and Robb Stark together. You know what I mean? As far as like Malik and Revan, I think those 2 are big names, but also names in the world where Disney likes to pull from. Lord of the Rings, like kind of stuff. And I'm like, that would be a very cool headline and moving forward, and put Ralph Fiennes in there somewhere because I love that dude. Any
Ralph Fiennes is great.
just go down the British acting and just put them all in there, right? You know, so but yeah, but yeah, so that's my, and then as far as like short round, what would I put him as? He'd be in as the head of the Jedi Council at that moment. That's what I would put him. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I put. So anyway, that's my pitch. There's a lot more on Revan. It's like there's like the treatments. Here's the treatment to Disney. It's like this is what you do it, and this is kind of how you do it. You know, we can massage it. We could talk Disney. We could talk. Like I'm not dead set against this. You can put my name on it as the founder, but you know.
The executive producer.
Yeah, exactly. A background producer, backseat driver producer. And there's source material that they can pull from. They don't have to change
and adapt.
They can adapt. They don't have to go word for word, line for line, but I would like for them to really keep it closer to the content that is at, because a lot of people like it. And it's the hidden fan base that really delves into the Old Republic and Revan, that you could put it out to the public kind of like how it is, and people will gravitate to it. I'm telling you, it'll be a thing, you know. But anyway, that's my pitch. I do have an honorable mention one I'll do later if we have time, and it's a funny one. But I think what I'll do is, if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to kick it to our guest, Gavin Connor, and we'll kind of go this way around and save Scott for last. How about that?
All right. Well, I'm officially on board. So for what it's worth, I will. And I'll try to make mine fast, since I made.
Sure, I tried to. Yeah,
I'll just I can't elaborate too much, but I did have two. I was kind of tossing back and forth. So one's a little more jokey, but it is probably my more serious one, and then the for real one. So I'll just launch into it. I said it on the Facebook page, I think, at some point. When is it Loth Cats or Low Cats? The little
Loth. L-O-T-H.
Yeah, like
like Lothal,
yeah. So I got all excited, like everybody, seeing those guys recently in the Ahsoka one, and I just need like Planet Earth style David Attenborough nature show of Star Wars creatures, where he follows them around, real his palm, you know, and it picks, you know, tauntauns, and it's the tauntaun is sitting in the forest, and then it comes up, he's like,
oh my god, you can't see it on camera.
Like, I mean, especially because they did the prehistoric planet thing with the dinosaurs, you know, and Favreau was part of that too, right? So it was like technically doable, right? So, you know, you film certain things, you wiggle it around, you have you know, everything from Minox to everything,
awesome. Like educational,
like really nasty creatures too. They don't have to be all cute and lovable.
Oh yeah, Rathtars.
Like, like the Ewoks just freaking munching on some like human bones and stuff.
Yeah.
Occasionally they come across a human, you know, and there's like so I would love that. That would be
awesome. I would. That's so tongue in cheek, and it's like we'd be right there, dude. We'd be like, "Did you guys know that tauntauns aren't reptiles, like Pablo Hidalgo said? I was right this whole time."
Yeah, like just totally dumping all kinds of facts. Because, like, when I was watching the prehistoric planet thing, I was kind of like, "Is that? I mean, how do they really know? I mean, is this how factual did they really dig in?" But you just kind of take their word for it.
Really cool, man.
So
that is really cool to like have something just in the world of Star Wars on TV like that.
And you could also make it almost like pop-up video where little factoids pop up, you know? As he's speaking, just so you could cram as much useless information as possible at everybody, you know? It's like
it'd probably totally screw up the canon thing, like you're saying, just like all these little extra they got extra bones there, and that explains why they lived when it attacked the whatever.
So who would you have narrated?
Who would you have narrate? I would love to go with Richard Attenborough or
Morgan Freeman. Like, that's everybody's choice, right?
No.
But Liam Neeson might be.
I would say Liam Neeson.
Yeah, that'd be great, because he would probably
do
be like, "What? I'm not doing that."
Yeah,
but he's getting pretty old at this point. He might actually think that they're real creatures and stuff. So
I discovered a tauntaun once when I was the guy.
And Ewan McGregor even has a great voice.
You have Chris Jericho, dude.
Chris Jericho,
just shouting out the
so
That'd be
yeah,
great,
something
man.
like that. My backup plan was a more serious one. It probably would be a box office flop, but I'd still would just love like a full on. I love old war movies. Rogue One came super close, in the sense that I think when we're all just kind of sitting around, we want to watch, that Hoth battle over and over, and Rogue One, the battle at the end, so just like a full on, like, unknown actors war battle. It'd be cool, like, and you guys would know better, like maybe a nondescript, like Hoth would be cool to zoom in on, but we've kind of already done that. But like, pick some kind of battle, do it like old school, Bridge Too Far or something, kind of where you have, or like a platoon of dudes and you get all attached to them halfway through and stuff. And
as like this is a series, almost like Band of Brothers, but like
series could work for sure. But
I
even
love
just
it.
a full war movie, and
you're muted, Scott.
Sorry.
I said like Saving Private Ryan or something like that, even, or you just get to know everybody and then they all die. It's
concentrated on a point in Star Wars history that was mentioned, like like Celeste, right? You take a planet like Celeste where the Bothans are. Many Bothans died to bring us this information. Like something like that would be kind of cool, where you got to protect these Bothans, or the boss. What is that? In episode 3, or 2, when Obi-Wan's in the briefing room and Anakin was late, and he says, the briefing went good, the Battle of Boss Pitti or something, or the planet. It was like something goes, in short, it's doing good. I think there was a comic book that kind of went into that battle, but that's something like that, where you would have that and then zoom in on that planet and then follow this timeline and these soldiers, and that'd be cool.
Because you would, like we were saying, it was like you'd be familiar with the gear, and the uniforms and the surrounding, even the environment, maybe. But but it would be all different characters. They're super minute,
the Star Wars creatures in the back.
You could have like a general somewhere, somebody pop in, you're like, oh, and it would be somebody that you recognize. And you could even, like, I kind of got me thinking on, again, with the Ahsoka stuff, with like those flashback scenes, or how they kind of did the low budget foggy battle. And just the clone troopers wearing like actual armor and stuff. How cool that looks. I mean, you could really do like a Clone Wars just side movie thing, even though we've pretty much covered a lot of that territory.
And we've also said, like, all you need is a mention, like General Organa says, do this, or a holograph of like Admiral Akbar, a hologram of Admiral Akbar giving orders.
Right. Lando even shows up.
And that's your cameo, and we'd flip out. We'd have 3 episodes just on that alone.
But that would be rad, and just like, you just got to build it up like any good war movie where you actually care if the characters do. They don't have to all die. Maybe even make it like a Hamburger Hill type movie or something. Right. Holding
Except
down
for the friendly fire scene in Hamburger Hill. That was sad. But I mean, it can happen in Star Wars. Like, X-Wings come and bomb their own locations, and it's all crying. Oh my god! I've seen way too many movies.
Like I said,
it's so dark.
Not gonna win over the kids of the blockbuster or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
he said Hamburger Hill, Scott. I just went to the darkest moment in that movie.
I know.
But that's kind of cool too, because like, it doesn't follow legacy characters. It's almost like exactly what Rogue One did. It's this band of everybody who died, but they almost did like the most important thing in Star Wars moving forward that Luke gets all the credit for. You know what I mean? So without those guys, that's cool.
Just throwing in little parts of like the soldiers talking, and that could be their only backstory. And like what planet they came from, like the guy from Brooklyn or something.
Exactly.
This
guy from Brooklyn. Jake Gooding's checking in. Yo, what's up, everyone? We got Ryan Hobbies, Rhino Hobbies. Hello, gentlemen. And Papa Schmitty, what's up, guys? So if you're joining us, what we're doing is we're going and pitching our movie ideas since the strike is over and stuff like that. We're pitching our we went around circling our Shadow Council topic was pitching our ideas of show, original something, a series, a trilogy, you name it. So definitely rewatch this too, because it's great ideas. I think this is fun. This is what when people get together and holidays or movie line talk, this is what we do anyway. You know what I mean? So now we're just making it official.
Yeah, this is what we would do if we were in line.
Yeah, exactly. But I have never thought of a National Geographic kind of wild thing. That's outside the box thinking. I'm sorry, that
Yeah,
is cool.
yeah.
I like it. That was really cool.
Cool. Glad you like
right.
it. And
Yeah,
Robert
now
Smith of The Cure has to do the score for both of those for the record. Just saying.
I am with you. I am
Now-
with you. These two guys, probably not, but I am with you. Yeah.
I was thinking Danny Elfman, but again, I always go for like
Yeah.
the everybody's go to, so
had to get it in. So
yeah.
But that's about all I got. So
Awesome. No, that's great, man. That's great. So Joey, I know like you're up next, and we've talked a little bit about the shirt Joey is wearing might give you a little hint of where he's gonna go with this.
I love it. I didn't get a chance to say I love your shirt, man. That's awesome.
Joey is in chat, and it was like he mentioned it, and I was like, please go with it, and I want to hear what you come up with, man, and we'll see how far this goes. We'll see what lane this takes us. So go for it, man.
Wow. You'd be amazed about how many people would look at my shirt and be like, okay, nice painting.
Yeah.
I remember when we first started, we were sitting at Fanboy Mike's table. And for some reason, I just said, what if, I think we were doing the same thing. We were thinking about different movies or different stories
Yeah.
that we could think of. And for some reason, the first person that came into my head was Salacious Crumb, talking about how life was hanging around with gangsters.
Uh-huh.
And I remember I posted up a picture of Salacious Crumb, and I put, as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a gangster. And just hearing the music from the band coming on in the background. I mean, the whole thing is just about Salacious Crumb telling us how he became a part of Jabba's crime syndicate. You know, how everyone thinks that he's Jabba's little, his little little lap monkey or whatever, but really he's Jabba's one of Jabba's side. He's a made man. He's
a consigliere. He's like
actually a made man. He's actually higher than Bib Fortuna. So
yeah.
That would be so
That's
bad.
awesome.
I would totally be down.
Yeah, so he's telling the story on how, Jabba picked him up and raised him as his own, and sort of like almost every other, gangster movie, you see this little kid that the mob boss sees hanging around the streets and picks him up, and next thing you know, he's man
groomed.
up.
He's groomed. Yeah.
So
his rise up to the rankings of Jabba's menagerie.
so basically it's like that. It's just he's telling his story of the things that he saw that goes on in the palace that nobody else sees. He tells you the rise of Jabba, because he's seen before Jabba even took over the crime syndicate. So he goes over the story. I was hoping Ray Liotta could do the narrating.
Yeah.
Just keeps getting better.
Yeah, right.
And Robert De Niro doing the narrating of Bib Fortuna.
Oh God.
Okay. Is this a movie or a series? What is this?
This is a movie. It's a one.
Just
it's
a one shot.
It's a one shot, because
The whole movie's
that
one shot.
that lifestyle. It pretty much ends with Bib Fortuna taking over and whacking Salacious.
Whoa.
Because Salacious does survive the explosion also.
The barge.
He survives a barge, and he knows that Bib Fortuna has something to do with Jabba's death.
I got you.
Letting all this stuff happen. He could have stopped Leia if he wanted to. Bib Fortuna.
He could be like, he got word to Boba Fett to like, hey, Bib is vulnerable, come and take him.
So,
I gotta ask though, in this rendition, is Salacious Crumb talking, or is this a voiceover or an inner monologue, or because I can't. This is what's gonna kill me, is if I hear that voice speaking basic to me, that, like, I don't. That's gonna kill me. So a Ray Liotta, like his inner monologue is Ray Liotta.
All you're gonna see is just Salacious Crumb's facial expressions, where he's just like,
then
you just see then you just hear Ray Liotta saying what he's thinking.
Yeah, There we go. I
So
like that's what that's how it
good.
works.
Yeah,
There you
too,
go.
he's over here.
Yeah.
He's gonna have that Italian accent and dropping the F-bombs and everything. Who poison like gabagool?
So your one off is a R, hard R.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to bring the kids to this one.
No.
It's not meant for kids.
What's the title of this?
Crumb? Who was it?
A Star Wars
Crumb.
story.
It was Crumb. Yeah, it was Crumb, a Star Wars story.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's great.
I gotta
It's
say,
pretty
my
much-
mind.
Places in the world you could have walked into. It was my establishment.
Yeah.
I'd say, in my
like,
mind,
the
I'm
ending pretty much
automatically.
leads into Bib Fortuna's
His-
taking over the throne, and then
Gotcha.
whatever happens with
Okay.
Boba Fett.
And then his side story, we get a whole movie.
Yeah, so I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's
The Bib
basically
Fortuna
illustrating
movie.
what really happens with that type of lifestyle, with the mafia gangster lifestyle. It's always who's the
I
next
could-
man to take over, and crime syndicates battling, and
I can throw my 2 cents is Salacious Crumb sees on Tatooine the potential that Jabba doesn't see and talks him into this foothold and this fort, like this strong point on Tatooine. Like Jabba is his crime. He doesn't want to do it, but because Salacious is smart, he's the one who talks him in like, yeah, this is what we can do here on this planet, and so he's like the
Salacious
brains behind the thing.
Salacious is the one that shows them how to push spice.
There you go.
Yeah. He introduces him to spice.
I get that.
And then he gets him into
So let me tell you this. I like this idea. I
Yeah,
like
see
it a lot.
that doesn't work for me, Scott. I don't want to see him talking. It's an inner dialogue.
I
It's
know,
got to be
right?
Ray Liotta because that.
Because that's all I was thinking. Like, my mind automatically went, as much as I love the darker side, and that was where I'd want to go to, like full on Goodfellas style. Rizzo the Rat voice from the
Yeah.
Muppets, because they're just like, there I was, and like
You
and
would
then
even
can
have
almost
him
make a whole
walking.
Muppet movie out of it.
Yeah.
You'd have
like a
him
Star
walking
Wars
through
Muppet.
the palace, saying, "Yo, there's Jimmy 2 times," and
Yeah.
going through the whole thing. and-
Yeah, you could do like a whole like horrible Muppet movie just based in the Star Wars universe.
That's
really.
hilarious.
There goes that Mama Luke Bib Fortuna.
Yeah.
Who do you want to direct this? If you see Peter Jackson, I
Oh,
won't be
no,
mad.
it's
so.
Martin Scorsese, dude.
Scorsese.
Martin Scorsese has to do this.
Yeah. It'd be great if he actually. Well, but see, then you have to get Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, you get Robert De Niro.
Well,
then you.
I mean,
Yeah.
who are you going to have voice Jabba the Hutt? I mean, it's
Yeah.
obviously Leonardo DiCaprio.
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
DiCaprio.
Jack
Oh,
Nicholson.
man, I
You
didn't
bring him
think
out of
about that.
retirement. Bring
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson out of retirement.
Let's go.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's got to be someone with a big bellowing, deep voice.
Yeah.
It's got to be
All right.
someone like that.
Last question: practical or CGI?
Probably both. Probably both.
Oh, I would go
It's gotta be
100% like the Muppets, like the
Practical?
100%.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you build everything's animatronic and Muppets and yeah, dude. Like I wouldn't have
Yeah.
any CGI characters. Make it as
That'd be
vintage as
amazing.
possible and funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That sounds better.
yeah. Like an explosion, you see the puppet Muppet and go with the strings on them.
Foam everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this
When they get
movie's gonna
whacked,
have
it's
it.
like
This movie's
foam.
gonna have it all. It's gonna have explosions, whackings. I mean,
What
I could just see like
Oh.
dancer.
What was
Twilight
that?
dancers everywhere.
yeah.
that movie, the Happy Time Murders, that kind of reminds me of what they
Yeah.
did there. It was a very adult Muppet movie. So,
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my movie.
Awesome. That is funny. And that's one of those things like it'd be so funny, dude. Like if like National Lampoon got a hold of it and did something like, or Mel Brooks. I mean, that I'm saying Mel Brooks would take that and run with it. You know what I mean? But I understand, I get exactly what you're going for. And yeah, that's been an ongoing thing from 6 years ago. Joey said it then, and he has not changed his course. So
Awesome.
good for you, man. Good for you.
if
I
it
like
ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I like the one
Yeah.
dog's looking this way, the other dog's looking that way. He's got the big white beard.
And this guy's saying, "What do you want from me?"
Yeah, what do you want from me?
Gorgeous head
Gonna
of
watch
hair on that
Goodfellas
guy.
again. That's hilarious. Awesome. All right, man. So I know in our chat, Scott went off the rails, so I'm gonna see how far off the rails this guy's gone because he wrote an entire a reshaping.
Let me get to it. Let me get to it.
Let me introduce you. So he's doing this
Yeah.
whole reshaping of Star Wars as we know it. So the pressure's on Scott.
Not quite what it is.
The floor is yours.
All right.
I'll be the judge of that.
So my idea is a dark side anthology called The Sith. Okay. And essentially what it is, it's a series.
Greenlit.
I'm sorry, greenlit. Exactly. I need behind it. It is a series that would follow pretty much the rise and fall of the Sith throughout its 6,000-year history. Okay. So I'm not going as far back as say the Dawn of the Jedi, which I know we're getting some kind of a movie for. And I know the Sith existed as like a race back then. We're talking the actual Dark Lords of the Sith. So it, as you could probably assume, knowing what I love, it would pull heavily from the Tales of the Jedi and moving forward from there. And I've got it broken down into a 9-season series. Okay. And I've got each season broken down a little bit right here, just with titles. So you know what I'm talking about. Okay. I do think the showrunner would be Guillermo del Toro. I want it to be my very director. Dark. I want it to be through the eyes of the Sith. I want it to be very dark side. The only time the Jedi actually come into it are once the Sith are actually known to the outside galaxy, that they exist, that they're out there, right?
Yeah.
And that's whenever we start bringing some Jedi in. But season 1 would be basically the golden age of the Sith Empire. Whenever they're in the outer reaches, nobody knows who they are. Nobody knows where they are, but they have their own. Yeah, exactly. Crystal, I pull up my own storyboard.
PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, exactly. And
here we go.
I would be lying if I didn't say I was looking at my Word doc that I typed up earlier today.
I love it. I love it.
Straight,
awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, it would be very dark side. And it would, so season 1, the golden age of the Sith. And I'm thinking like Ben Kingsley as the Sith Lord, Ludo Kresh. And there's a really cool actor. He's a Middle Eastern actor, Kal Naga, who could play Nagasato, that dark side. And they kind of go to war with each other, which leads for the entire season 1. It would just be this battle between the Sith. And you start seeing the chinks in the armor of the Sith and why it is that they will eventually fall, right? Because they're always infighting with each other. Season 2 would be the fall of the Sith Empire, and that's when the Jedi get word that this is happening, so they come in to try and clean things up. They're gone, right? So at the end of that series, Nagasato, he flees into the Star Wars galaxy and takes refuge on Yavin 4. And he builds those temples that the rebels set up in A New Hope, right? Those are Sith temples. So that would lead to season 3, which is my favorite comic of all time, Dark Lords of the Sith, right? That is Clive Owen as Exar Kun, Kit Harington I've got as Ulic Qel-Droma, and Master and Apprentice, as they go to war with the Jedi and try to build this empire of Sith. That's season 3. Season 4 would be the Sith War. That would be the culmination of all of that. And you got to keep in mind, all this happens, 4,000 years before Luke Skywalker. Okay. Right. 5,000 years or 6,000 years for the Sith Empire, 4,000 years for Dark Lords of the Sith and the Sith War. Shortly after that, about 3,000 years, season 5. And this is where I lend credence to you and your knowledge, Mooch. It would be the Legends of Darth Revan. And I call it the Legends of Darth Revan because there is that split. There's that split in his personality. Is he light side? Is he dark side? Is it a legend? Is it legends? What is it? So I did not cast this part of it because I thought that you would probably be the one that would be better knowing.
We can merge. The spin-off would be the Darth Revan trilogy of that anthology, because again it can tie in all that stuff. Again, we have like you can hear about like the Battle of Mandalore with your in yours, and how the
Right.
Jedi just overpowered it, and then how Darth Revan disappeared, like the vanishing of Darth Revan and or Revan and Malak, and then all of a sudden they appear. You know, they come as like all of a sudden like these guys are killing all these Jedi and bringing in the Sith Empire, and like, yeah.
Exactly. So then we go from season 5 or your trilogy, the Legends of Darth Revan, to season 6. And here's where I get a little bit more specific with the names of the movies. The first are the names of the season. Season 6 would be Darth Bane and the Path of Destruction, right? The first Darth Bane book is The Path of Destruction.
Right.
Season 7, Darth Bane and the Rule of Two. You know, so in season 6, Darth Bane and the Path of Destruction, he annihilates the entire Sith Empire.
Right.
And it is just left with Darth Bane and Darth Zana. They're the two. They established the Rule of Two moving forward, right?
Yep.
Season 8 would be Darth Bane and the Dynasty of Evil, right? Where eventually he falls and Zana carries on, right? And we're still talking about 2,000 years, I think. 2 or 3,000 years before Luke Skywalker. Right?
Yeah, either 2 or 1 or one of the
Right. And we know that so we know there's a big period in time where there's no Sith movement at all.
Right.
You know, they've been extinct.
They go into the shadows.
Extinct for almost a millennium, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which leads us to the final season. And the final season is the tragedy of Darth Plagueis. And that's how we would wrap it. And I would give Chris his Matt Smith as Palpatine.
Okay. The young
Ray
Palpatine,
Fiennes as Plagueis.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm talking Guillermo del Toro as the showrunner. He could direct a couple of episodes, kind of like Dave Filoni would.
Right. Gotcha.
I really like. There's a horror director out there, Mike Flanagan, who's done that annual Fall of House of Usher and the House on Haunted Hill and all that. Mike Flanagan, I would bring him in. So this is heavily horror. I would think heavily horror defined. And for really action-packed episodes, I would bring in Tony Gilroy or excuse me one moment. Too much talking, too much excitement. So anyway, that's my pitch, is a 9-season Sith Lord epic horror series, right? With lightsabers and action.
Okay. First off, that would absolutely take off, and it would be a great thing because you are going through like the legacy of the Sith, getting into Revan, getting into Bane, getting into the original trilogy and how it's set up as what Plagueis did, Palpatine did, you know, all that stuff. So I love that. And I love the fact that, and like I said, Chris's was the Bane trilogy basically, and he casted it and he had all those things going to end with that.
That's why I didn't cast that though. I didn't cast that because I knew that Chris had a good one.
Yeah.
But I would put maybe Idris Elba as Bane instead of his choice. I forget who his choice was, but I like Idris Elba for that.
Okay. He had I'll look it up real fast while we're talking, but
did he list it out on the Patreon, or was this something you guys do? I didn't.
We have like a side thing that we kind of like. We kind of like, well, hey, guess what?
Where is this? I want to see it.
Yeah, we have like I ate a hot dog today, and then by the way, Darth Bane did this. I'm like, you know, so it's very unfiltered, filtered. I don't know. It's like
fair enough.
How our talks intertwine.
Cool.
But that is cool. Again, that would be that's a 10-year plan right there.
Yes,
you know?
Exactly. I would a season a year. You know, give us a year. It could be 8 or 9 episodes. And if you think about 8 or 9 1-hour episodes, you're getting a trilogy in each one of those seasons. And with the level of quality they brought to the likes of Ahsoka and the Mandalorian, you could really make this thing look great. And I mean, that's a 10-year Disney Plus plan right there, right? To keep Star Wars fans engaged. And just, it kind of writes itself. I mean, the freaking, the source material is right like, here, man.
Just like Kathleen Kennedy said, there's source, all our stuff is based on source material.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it doesn't
take like the good parts, leave out the stuff.
I mean,
It doesn't have to be a word for word recreation because they've already moved past that with some of their lore. You know, you can't have Force Ghost villains. You know, that doesn't exist, but they
No,
exist
and you
back
explain,
here.
and you explain on how, like I said, what that whole thing about Revan when he dies. They had the holocrons of Revan were found, and that's why the Revanites came up 1,000 years later, and they had the cultists of this teachings.
And that's what Darth
Chris's-
Bane found. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris's Bane was Mike Coulter, Luke Cage, the guy who played Luke Cage.
He's good too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and of course, Matt Smith. So Matt Smith in there, just Matt Smith. Chris loves Matt Smith.
Yes, he does.
Bondage Brittany. Yeah, I've been reading your stuff. I spaced out, typing too much instead of going out. Yeah. The too long to read, you got into it. That was great. Just giving you a shout out there because I did read it. Yeah, so let's see. Crystal E saying it is Disney and they do love a villain angle. So that absolutely I can see it.
The thing is with Disney, it won't be as dark as it needs to be.
No, it'll be like the Acolyte. And that's my whole point is this thing would kind of lead into the Acolyte. You know, the Acolyte would take place between the final two seasons, you know, it would kind of be that a bridge, right?
Right.
And with the Acolyte, it's supposed to be, you know, a dark, suspenseful thriller kind of thing, but it's still Jedi centered.
Yeah.
You know,
here's the thing with the difference between like what the Acolyte was in and all our stuff. All our stuff has impact story for the entire Star Wars thing. I think the Acolyte is going to be as cool as it sounds so far, like on paper. I don't know how much impact it's going to have. It might be like this cool story, kind of like just set, and we do this, and then nothing really fleshes out to shape what the original trilogy or the prequels did, because I think it's supposed to go into the prequels, right? So
yeah,
one of the main things is we all want as Star Wars fans is like this content does something where holy crap, it just changed the trajectory. It changed and it did this impact, because that's the things about canon books back in the day, right? When you read it, at the end, you're like, that was great, but nothing happened. Like nothing happened. These characters died. Nobody knew who they were. So,
or it's like, you know, these comics, the Tales of the Jedi, they took place 4,000 years before, 5,000 years before, but it was the foundation of what we knew. You know, it was the construction of the Sith temples on Yavin 4.
That's it.
The books that came after Return of the Jedi, the spirits of the Sith lords of old infected Luke's
the Jedi Council was built on a Sith temple or a Sith, thing. So
we could get into all that, you know, something that doesn't seem like it would affect anything actually affects everything greatly behind the scenes. It could be why the Jedi, their thoughts were clouded by the dark side, is because as the dark side grew, their temple sat on a dark side site. You know, of course that would affect them.
Yeah.
So there's ways around this to make it work.
In the comics and stuff, like as far as like characters of Sith characters being the main dudes, are they just like total pricks the whole time though? I mean, or like what's your average Sith like? Is he like just totally killing everybody constantly, or do they kind of teeter back and forth?
For mine, my favorites are Exar Kun and Yolo Caldroma. And the whole idea of Exar Kun was he just wanted to have more power. He just wanted to be a more powerful Jedi. And he started taking these paths that led him to the temples of the Sith Lords before, Nagasato, the other guy from the previous seasons. So, and then Ulic Qel-Droma was the greatest Jedi Knight, and he set out to go infiltrate the Sith by becoming one of them to destroy them from the inside, and it completely backfired.
Oh yeah,
and
exactly.
He drank the Kool-Aid. He became one of them.
That's the dangerous of it. Yeah,
exactly. The absolute power corrupts absolutely. Right.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to have them have their own ideology, because it all ends in corruption and power, because it's always surging. It's always going more. So you can struggle with that.
Yeah, I could almost see it being like political in a sense, you know, like where they think they're doing the right thing, and it'd almost be the flip of what we are used to, where there's the sort of hint of evil coming in, but then it would be like the sort of hint of good, you know, like, and you'd have the one that turns because he's like, you know, I just want to do the right thing.
And there was
Yeah.
there was the Dark Empire comic series that followed Return of the Jedi, where Luke went to the dark side, and
I
to
remember that.
try and infiltrate them to destroy them from the inside out, because somehow Palpatine had returned.
Yeah.
So
and Luke goes nuts.
Luke
Yeah.
does go nuts, but at the end, it was all show. He was able to pull himself back out, and that's what made the Tales of the Jedi stood out and made Dark Empire stand out even more. Was Luke was strong enough to fight that. Luke was more powerful than any other Jedi. He could become that Grand Master and defeat the dark side from the inside, and become a light side.
Yeah.
And it's that stuff why people were so mad that Luke ran away to Octo. That's the stuff that made people mad. It's because they built him up as very, very powerful.
Antonio, it needs to be an HBO or Max series.
Yeah, I mean, yes,
Probably.
to get the content, like what Joey was saying, like to get that content of adult viewing, I guess. Now, Scott, I know you you would still follow certain Jedis and certain political environments through this whole thing, right? Too, because
You would have to.
Yeah, because like what Gavin
you
was
would have
saying, because if you just get the guys that like just power, and the next is just power, and then like Sith Lords get a little bit
Game of Thrones
mundane. They get a little bit more like, all right, dude, relax. You know what I mean? Like you got,
or even do it like kind of Sopranos style, where that they're like terrible people, but you're still kind of rooting for them for some reason,
right?
And then you're like, and you're seeing them go back and forth. And,
Darth Nihilus would be a good example, because
that's what I was about to tell you guys. Where does Darth Nihilus fit? Because you didn't mention him in your movie, and Scott didn't mention him in his
after
movie.
mine. Yeah, he'd be after. But Darth Nihilus was the Sith Lord that grew and consumed in power to the point where he couldn't control it, and he couldn't die. It was like the more life he was taken, the more stronger. It was a hunger. It's like he couldn't quench that hunger. The goal was ending all life, to devour everything, but it would inevitably destroy him because he couldn't devour anymore. Yeah, it was.
I've been
what time? I'm unfamiliar with Nihilus's complete story and where it sits in the overall timeline. But I mean, if we need a 10th season, I mean, okay.
No, it would be in the time of Revan, like right in that time in between Revan and after his storyline going forward.
Okay.
And then if you get into like Malgus, I mean, there's again, because this is why canon is so like. That's why you'd have to cherry pick a real timeline, not the brand. I'm in Loki mode. The temporal loom has to just straighten it out and then add all these things going on, because in a sense, every Sith Lord story is almost the same as it's like power, and then they get defeated, or their apprentice takes over, but they want more power. I mean, that's their end
mine
game.
are kind of my seasons were kind of the broad strokes of the big names,
but it's like a history. It's a history, like how we got to this point, which I love. Yeah, that's great, because like the rule of two, before we always had, like I said, the Bane trilogy set that in as a part, and that's when thousands of years of war and governments and stuff, it just isn't working. It works to a point, and then they always got the Sith Civil War. Like they end up screwing it up. And it's like, okay, how do we preserve our way of life and everything? And that's how like that rule of two came up. And
like in a book or anything, has it ever been like really explained what is the meaning behind the rule of two? Like, what's the goal?
Oh yeah,
of the rule of two?
It's if. The problem with the Sith is they all hunger for power. Yeah. They all want to be they all want to be.
They were killing each other.
They all want to be number one. They're destroying each other. And Bane was like, we got to knock this off. We have the same goal. Our goal is to dominate, and the only way to really do that is to have one person in charge and one person is the right hand man or woman, essentially. One is always the one that craves the power, and the other one is the one that craves to take that one's place. And it's always this challenge.
It's
So
a revolving, but it's an uphill power. Like
yes,
every Sith is more stronger than the next, and it keeps going. Instead of like this group and they all keep consuming each other, it's a thing where if the apprentice is more powerful than the master at that point, he's beyond that master, and then his apprentice gets beyond him, and it's like a ladder. And you see what two Sith Lords can do with the trilogy, right? And that's
it's like Count Dooku to Qui-Gon to Obi-Wan, right? To Anakin. Everybody gets just a little more powerful, etc. You know, that kind of thing. But just think of it as pure evil.
Pure evil and power. That's it. Peace is a lot. They have a whole creed. They have a whole motto. You know.
And in the end, what it takes, and actually, it's the very first. Did you read the Bane trilogy at all?
Oh yeah,
no,
a long time ago. Yeah.
So in the first book of the Bane trilogy, there is and I do believe it was Julie in our chat. She had mentioned that there was like, didn't the Jedi and the Sith have equal numbers? And they did, but the problem was the Sith kept fighting each other so much that they were killing each other almost as fast as the Jedi were killing
the Sith Civil War. And then, like I said, they killed each other, and that's when Bane was like, "Stop." All right.
Yes.
And then Plague, like I said, Plagueis even took it further than that and saying like the same concept, but in the shadows. Like he went like, we're gonna go from within. What's it? The hiding in plain sight kind of deal. Yeah. And we're going political and people were like fighting them on it. It's like, no, we got to go in guns blazing. Even though there's two of us, we're powerful. It's like, nope, we're gonna go slow and we're gonna make this like, you know,
we're gonna consolidate our power.
Yeah, we're gonna infiltrate the banks. We're gonna infiltrate the government. We're gonna corrupt senators. We're gonna do all these things, and then we're gonna fake a war. You know, the Clone Wars, and then put chips in these guys that are gonna kill all the Jedi and get rid of them. So then there's no choice but to accept this, and then people will know.
So instead of having an entire army of Sith, you just have the Sith Lords and their army. Right,
and obedience.
Obedient army, and that
it's a brilliant plan, you know. Until Rey comes by and
crosses her lightsabers in front of you. Man.
Yeah,
that storyline sounds a little too real.
Yeah, that's what the Crystal he's saying. It sounds like the U.S. too. Like, unfortunately, it is. And this is why we hide in our corner and
breaking down into fights. Unreal.
But no, good deal, man. So that's I love it because that's like a long-term plan, but it gives you the history, and then you get all these intertwining stuff. And if you allow the Revan trilogy to break off into theatrical things, but it's almost like X-Files, right? You have like seasons 1, 2, 3, movies 4, 5, kind of go and do that. That'd be awesome.
But it's like logical. Come on, X-Wing Squadron, Sith. What do I want to know more about?
It would be the number one rated. Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's like, when they put that thing on that slate and it said the Acolyte, everybody lost it. It was like, oh my god, it was like dark side. We're gonna follow. We all wanted the Plagueis story. We wanted that book. I want that book to be canon, like that whole entire thing, from Darth Maul to Palpatine to everything that's in it. Basically, I wanted to. I know Darth Maul, they kind of went different directions, but okay, we could skip that, But that book is so good in bringing us up to speed on how the prequels came about.
Yeah, it is, Gavin. If you haven't read it, you should.
It's
buy it.
Legends. It's not canon.
It is,
but it's got some good stuff in it, man. You get Plagueis' story and his how he took from his master and how he taught Sheev, Palpatine, and gets into their political environment, and Darth Maul and how they use him as a pawn, and it was like it's good. It's really good.
Yeah, and if nothing else, I love just the idea that these are stories, not to get to the, that have endings, and it's like take it or leave it or modify it however you need to, but it's the structure's there, and that seemed to not be there on the last round, and stuff, or it's just like you have the ending, at least that's cool.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
that's the ending be the stuff we know,
exactly.
So cool.
Where you have to get to, and sometimes that journey is really cool. You know what I mean? And that's where we kind of struggle sometimes with knowing that the ending is the sequels, and I'm not gonna okay, everybody has their opinions, but everybody knows that's the end game to get to those, and then what's in between is so cool, but at the same time, we kind of like lose wind and go, but then we're gonna do this. Like, that's gonna end with the First Order. But we're trying to focus, put blinders on it, and enjoy that what we're getting, because the journey is going to become better than the end game.
Much there,
And there's even a way to manipulate those stories a little bit to bring in Exegol, to bring in the Sith Eternal. There's ways that you can make this 9-season epic I just came up with and weave those things that we know are coming into it to where it all makes sense.
Like all the in between stuff we got for the prequels, like we said before, they made the prequels 10 they made them all 10 times better.
Of course.
They could do the same exact thing with the sequels.
I think that's what they're doing.
All this, but
I almost wonder if an animated thing is the way to go. Like if they could come up with a good animated show for the sequels era. It's just tough because there wasn't much room in between anything,
I think they need to.
Tried with Resistance.
Exactly. I mean, Resistance was like, whoa. Take a step back.
The problem is, I think we talked about a little while ago, is there needs to be some time of peace, right? Because did you knock it off, dude? There needs to be a time of peace. They need to take out Thrawn, and then they've got to have like a decade or two of relative peace where they can disarm and make all the wrong choices,
put their guards down again. And the First Order comes. I agree with
themselves.
that. On how big this building's going to be. So we're okay. I have a honorable mention thing. A long time ago, I had said something about like, would it be interesting? And again, I don't even know if I want this, but it's cool to talk about. Okay. But like a sitcom version, but in the setting in the Star Wars background. So take Married with Children. All right. But Jesus. Put it in Star Wars, meaning you got the kids, you got the four family that we followed. So I would put the younger kid as like an aspiring Imperial. He's always suited up. He's always like have propaganda, and he's always telling his family these things, and they all roll their eyes, and the audience laughs and stuff. And you got the rebellious sister that's like going out with going out with like rebels and whatever. And then you got
this is very Family Ties so far. Michael J. Fox is your Imperial,
but make it funnier and more raunchier, like Married to Children. And then you also got the the dad is like the guy who's just trying to make it as the moisture farmer salesman. You know what I mean? He's trying to sell moisture farms, and he's like, son, whatever, I'm not gonna do this. And of course, it's like that would be so ridiculous, over the top.
But his one thing, his one achievement in life is that he won the Boonta Eve one time.
Yeah, I was a good pod racer at one point. and then nosy neighbors. It's like it could be Uncle Owen Emperor who is the nosy. But like
the Darklighter family.
It's
the Darklighter. It's Biggs's family.
Yeah, right. Like that would be. I don't know. I mean, it's something that's like how like WandaVision started. It was kind of like that. It would be but in Star Wars, everything's Star Wars. It's the but set in an original trilogy. So there's like this comic thing going on, but there's also like the sense of danger outside, but it's tongue in cheek. It's not real. Like when stormtroopers show up, he's like, "Oh, what did you do now? Did you get caught speeding again?" And it's like, and they're I thought about that. I was like, that's the only genre we never talk about. Something like that, like a sitcom. Half an hour episodes at 8:00 on weekdays on CBS. Married with Children type Star Wars show. That would
the son could be he grows up to be the guy from Andor. That's the
right.
Whatever his deal was.
I always thought of that. Like that would be funny to think about and kind of like talk about. I don't know. I don't know if I would. Because it's a joke, it'd be like real jokey. So it's like, we don't take our Star Wars that jokey, but at the same time, if it wasn't canon, I would love it. Like if they just did it and it's like, look, this is just something fun, you know, and it's not
you really
canon
could
though.
do
It's
all genres, like you're saying, like a horror one, or you could do like a rom
yeah,
com that's on
You're
Alderaan
talking-
and they get blown
Yeah.
up at the end. That'd be awesome.
yeah,
You're talking about almost like a what if series, you know?
Yeah,
If they did an animated Star Wars what if series, would you guys buy into it?
yes.
Knowing that nothing affects canon
Well,
whatsoever.
it's like Visions, kind of, right? I mean, that's kind of like,
Right.
but what you're
But
saying with
it's
like
taking
legacy
the
characters
characters-
and
Yes,
Okay.
Luke,
That's the
Han,
key.
Leia, Poe, Ray, Anakin,
That's the key.
Obi-Wan.
you know,
yeah.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
what if stories on major stories? What if stories?
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
like
it's
something that's out of nowhere.
Yeah.
What would have happened if the rebels on Scarif didn't get the plans? You know, what would have happened from there? What would the fallout have been?
especially if it gets
if-
really ridiculous like that and with different genres and stuff.
Yeah.
Would be great.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you could have some fun with it without
Yeah.
affecting the timeline and get people just to watch a fun show.
Yeah.
I had a
I also
side
would-
thought of a
No, go ahead.
animated. It would almost have to be animated, but like, you know, people always joke of the Han when he's frozen is Indiana Jones.
That he
but
dreams
just
as
do,
Indiana.
like the whole dream sequence,
Yeah.
trippy Han, like it'd just be like some psychedelic shit
That would be awesome.
going on, you know, like
So
something.
see,
I don't know.
Short Round wasn't a Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
There we go.
That's what Kathleen. That's what her comeback should have been. It's like, well, you know,
Yeah.
Han dreamt
already
all this
were.
up, so
yeah, something like that would be rad.
ergo, you're in it. Yeah. So
Because you could do it with animation too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this kind of subject is so we should have like a part 2 later on, doing this whole thing, like because there's so many different like characters and stories that we would love to see. Like I would love to see a General Grievous story, animated, whatever, but as his general, not in robotic form. I'm talking like as a general until he got to
Pre-cyborg.
that point. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Because in that Visions comic, it was interesting.
great.
They did it, and I was like, General Grievous was awesome. You know, not I don't care about him as a general. You know, in the Clone Wars, I want him, and then how he got to that point. You know, where they saved him. Why would they say go into like why was he so important to save and make him? You know, Chopper work line flashbacks, flashes with bloopers. That would be cool.
I think you guys had said that at one point with the possible droids thing, like of individual with, you know, that'd be cool if it was like kind of random stories of droids that way, you know.
I'm
like,
good
you
with
know,
that.
That'd be really
Yeah.
cool. I would be down because I initially saw droids and I was like, oh, is it gonna be like that old?
Is it like a cartoon or?
But
I
that
think
would be cool.
that's the thing about that. What the slate was, it just threw everything. They had this plan and thought everybody was gonna just be okay with everything. And I think Disney like a skittish cat. You know what I mean? Like one little thing, and they go, "Oh, okay, let's scrap it all and let's start over." And with other IPs, you can do that. And it's like, well, Star Wars, we never see that was the scariest thing. When we growing up, we had 6 movies or 3 movies, 6 movies. We thought that was it. We had our head canons, we had our books, we had our comics. There was no backtracking. There was no like do-overs. This was it. This was our talk. This was our life. So the notion of a company, you know, doing an about face and go like, okay, all the stuff they're doing now is I love it. It's great. You know, there was some bumps along the road here and that, but like we didn't have, I mean, you can probably argue prequels, but at the same time, they became our talk. They became everything to us, you know? So at one point it's like, I just want them to do good stuff all the time. Even if you take 5 years in between these things, do it good, quality, you know, quality over quantity. I know you're a business and I know you can't stay stagnant and then expect to pay the light bills. I understand that they need content rolling out. And it's like for us, it's like you're using our name to do it. You know what I mean? It worked for Marvel for 10 years or 20 years. No, 10 years and 22 movies. It worked. You know, then it's like that was great. We could pay the bills. We were doing this, but how long can we sustain that? And I don't want them to trample over Star Wars trying to do that same thing. Just, you know, I'd rather them just cut it off than not. Then, you know what I mean? At a point,
So,
you know.
Do you think somewhere on a shelf somewhere in Disney there's a legit reason on why Palpatine came back, like a detailed story or reason why and how he
I don't
came
think
back.
so. Yeah,
No,
I don't think
that's
so.
'Cause
yeah.
that
I
would
think that's
fix a
the
lot.
struggle.
Yeah.
If you
Well,
would have
that's
asked me prior to episode 9 coming out, I would have said yeah. But knowing how, like, I always fought it too, and I used to have these discussions and stuff with, like, no, they know what they're doing. They have this structure. They have this plan. Just wait till episode 9 comes out. It
Same.
all come.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, and then it came to the fruition. Like, yeah, they never had a plan. They never knew what where they were going to do tomorrow. And that was like, how could you do that? Right? Like,
Yeah.
How could you
So
do that to me?
dare you?
But here's the thing, the GI Joe comic writer Larry Hama, right? He has written GI Joe since 1982. His latest issue is coming out this week, right? I mean, he has consistently written GI Joe, with a couple breaks here and there. He has always said that he never knows what is going to happen from page 1 to page 2. It happens as he writes it. And he's got to keep journals that and friends that help him keep things in track, like who lives, who dies, to help him out with the continuity, right? So he doesn't have a plan. He doesn't have a game plan. But the difference is he is one man controlling that universe, right? Star Wars failed there. They did not know what they were doing, and they relied on too many people. They gave it to Lawrence Kasdan for The Force Awakens, which it was fun, but it was a rehash, right? Then they were like, okay, Ryan, you go do what you want to do. And then Ryan did what he wanted to do, and they go to Colin Trevorrow. Okay, well, you saw what came. You do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, yeah. And then the fallout happened from the Last Jedi, and they're like, no, let's give it to this third guy who's all flash and no substance. And there's that lack of continuity between writers, and I think that's where it all just fell apart.
Because they only saw the prior film. It's like they only took Star Wars as the guy who did right before them, and they went, let's build off of that, or let's go off these things like that. Like Ryan Johnson, like, I'm killing Snoke without talking, like, maybe there could have been a bigger arc, or I'm doing this, and they're like, well, there could have been this setup that you're not coming back to. And then JJ coming back and saying, Knights of Ren, who are they? I don't know, but they're cool. And we're just gonna leave it and never go back to it. And and then not knowing, like I said, the biggest mistake that Kathleen Kennedy ever said was there's no source material for Star Wars. That's why we're cutting. That's why we're starting from the scratch. And every fanboy was like, "Oh my god!" All our theories today were based off of source material.
So instead of asking all these other directors that they say they're Star Wars fans, but they're not Star Wars fans. If they would have just came to 4 nerds like us and just said,
that's a good question too, Joey, because I don't know. I mean, I'd rather have somebody like Tony Gilroy, Gareth Edwards, as Gareth Edwards is like he's a Star Wars fan. Tony Gilroy is a cinematographer. He's a visionary, but he understood the assignment. He understood about how to connect things and in the Star Wars world and make it. So I don't know if there's validation or merit to like put a Star Wars fan in charge or a good story writer in charge. You know what I mean? Like, I don't trust 90% of the fans out there that do fan films. I don't trust them to, like, to put them in charge of like going forward, because we cringe. There's stuff that I come up with that everybody, you guys cringe at. It's like, oh God. And I'm like, that was great. That would be epic. And
Gavin, you wouldn't believe the crap that I got today when I said mine was going to be a 9-part epic, and they're like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, that's going to rewrite everything." Like,
well,
nice.
Scott was going to go for like 4 hours on like part 7.
So
you were smart. You put it like all the way back, and
I did, because I was like, if we're about an hour, I'm like, Scott, we'll come to it later. We'll do it.
It all together.
As far as what Kathleen Kennedy did, okay, so she said, we don't have any source material, so we're just going to throw out everything, right? I think the throwing out everything that came before in Legends was a smart idea, because there was a lot of baggage in those books that you can't pop into the main characters. Okay, if you're going to commit to the main characters, you can't pop into their lives 30 years later after, some of them have had children, lost children, had wives, lost wives, been married, been divorced. Chewie
Right.
got a planet dropped on him. You know, you
Right.
can't
yeah.
you can't move forward with all of that shit
Right.
bogging you
I agree with
down
that.
and
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
fluid story.
Yeah.
But you can do what they're doing now and take some of those aspects of those stories and reintroduce them into the continuity leading up to what we did get. Is what we got. None of us liked it overall. I mean, it was pretty
What
to
we're
look
getting
at.
now is like exactly what you're saying. They are taking sources and they are doing things that are like, wow, that's cool. Like you know, they had mentioned they want to go back to Old Republic. They mentioned a Darth Revan Star Destroyer as canon, like that. So like Revan is canon in the sense that he exists, but we don't know how he exists. You know,
Yeah.
so they're doing it now, and that's like it's like the about face. You know what I mean? The worst thing they did, and we've said this a million times. You know, the worst thing they did is put episodes 7, 8, and 9 as the flagships of Star Wars and call it 7, 8, 9. If they did this sequel storyline as a Disney Plus show first, maybe that would have been a little bit more calmly, but they was like, no, you put it in line. Meaning when I have my posters on my wall, I have to put these here. And it's like, oh my God, where maybe they could have set that kind of story way in the future or something off and then got us a true 7, 8, 9, even if we wanted it. I mean, like to me, Return of the Jedi ended perfect. It was fine. It was like, you know, we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, but we do have Thrawn back. You know, we've got and Thrawn back beautifully too, and we still have potential of Heir of the Empire. You know, the Thrawn trilogy to come and the happenings in this 30-year gap, and we still got a lot of potential. So there's no giving up on our side. It's just a little bit of like. There's a little regret, I think, but there's no giving up.
Trilogy in between, it'll be like 6.5.
That's right.
You know,
it'll be this mini. It'll be this mini epic adventure. Yeah, that supersedes the sequels in every way.
Yeah, I could
you will
totally see
notice
that happening, though. I could totally see that happening. Shows like Mandalorian or just newer shows, just making the sequels better.
And if you just say
going for
and if you just say like I always tell something like look, you can still have your legends, you can still have your 6 movies. You could just say everything that Disney took over, it's legends. It's this expanded universe in this way, and it's exactly what the expanded universe did. A lot of times, you know, we got like these different eras, and yes, some of them reference each other, but some of them did ignore other characters. You know, like they just went off their own little thing. So if they just look at it like this is the EU, another version of it, and you can still have your Dawn of the Jet or the New Jedi Order books. You have your things, you know, Dark Empire. You got your Thrawn trilogy.
You notice none of us went into the future.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. No, because
all of us went to the past.
We did. Yeah. But So, but this was fun, guys. This was a lot of fun. Again, this is something that we would talk about if we got together. You know, and did anyway. We would be like theory crafting on future content, past what we can see. You know, it's so fun to do. And
we have Gavin to thank for it.
And we do have Gavin to thank you.
If you
Gavin
join the Shadow Council, you can put your ideas out there and maybe join us to discuss your idea.
I think we should work on some sort of Discord chat room where everybody can chat whenever and just get the ideas brewing. Going, that'd be kind of fun to kind of like jump in and
I want to hear all the fun honorable mentions, you know, of all the slightly I want to do in honor of what is it, Life Day, the B. Arthur backstory, like her young day, like a Richard Linklater, just B. Arthur working at the cantina, you know, like,
that's
we
funny.
don't really have to flesh it out too much, but
exactly. Just have fun with it, right? Just have fun.
Kevin Smith had a great Jar Jar one ages ago, didn't he? Like where he said he wanted to direct the Jar Jar backstory.
Yes.
And he just like, I can't remember what the details were, but I remember being like, that's genius. I would totally see that.
Oh my God. We love
Lisa
playing.
wasn't even supposed to be here today.
Yeah. Seven hanging out.
All right. Well, let's get out of here, guys. Gavin, thank you very much for hopping on with us, man. It won't be the last time.
Thank you.
So we'll definitely see you in chat. And thank you guys. Thank you everybody in the pit for just sticking with us and going on. Happy Life Day. this Life Day's on Friday, so make sure that I don't even know what you do on Life Day. Eat, say hi.
I do know that Joey's got a big blue ball.
Oh yeah, I got some
that's his
batteries.
His life, yeah. His Life Day orb.
Because I had it on all Christmas.
That's
from,
right.
all December, that thing was on.
Put on your VR headset and just see some cool disco.
That's what we need to do. We need to research like Happy Life Day. Well, what do we do? What do we do? Do we watch the holiday edition or do we?
What was Chewie's son's name in there? It was Stinky
Lumpy.
or
Lumpy.
Does that little smile?
I love it. He needs a backstory. He needs a side.
He needs a backstory. Oh my god! So maybe
Mooch,
I'll break into it. Yeah.
You had mentioned earlier before we had started that Disney. This is where Disneyland is kind of dropping
essential.
The ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essential and drop the ball. Yeah.
For a couple of weeks, they should have like a Life Day procession that goes from one end of Galaxy's Edge over to the Falcon and follow Chewie in his red robe, and all the characters just follow along behind him.
Yeah,
heroes,
make
villains,
it an event,
all of them,
Life
Day,
Yeah, like I was telling Scott, it's like, you know what? No, what do we do? Like, there's no real celebration for this. This is a Star Wars holiday. We May 4th, we made it our own. That's for fans by fans. Like Life Day should be a thing, and it should kickstart in Disneyland. Like that whole week should have something that integrates the whole immersion.
Totally.
I think that would, if they embraced it and not be scared of everything that of their own shadow sometimes, it's like, just embrace it, guys. Come on.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. But so happy Life Week, everybody. We won't be here next week as it is Thanksgiving here in the States. So we are taking the next week off, but of course we'll be back. And by the end of the year, Scott, what do we have going on by the end of this year?
So for the end of the year, what we're planning on, instead of doing a subject, a Shadow Council subject for everybody to vote on, what we want to do is we want to invite all of our Shadow Council members to us to a special New Year's party. So what we're going to do is we're going to have an online New Year's party as the first episode of the new year in 2024. We're all going to ring in the new year together. All you need is what Gavin's got right there. You need a microphone. You need a camera. You need a good internet connection. You can hang out with us. We're just going to talk about, I don't know what the hell Joey's doing right now, but
you'll be drinking.
Okay, there we go.
Trivia.
Yeah, so we're going to do trivia. We're going to tell Star Wars stories, maybe get everybody's Star Wars origin story, just out there. Join us. You're a member of the Shadow Council. You are welcome to join us at any dollar level, the $2 to the $10 level. You're all welcome. So,
and we're doing this on January 3rd. That's I believe Wednesday, so. Yeah, the first January Wednesday 3rd. Of the year. So, but yeah, so we'll be back not next week, but the following week, with whatever else, wherever the Star Wars talk leads us to, we'll be back and discuss it. Maybe some news will drop since all the strikes are over, maybe some announcements before the end of the year, but definitely get your trivia minds on, because I want to do trivia before the end of the year and stuff like that. So,
I promise not to write all the trivia questions because everybody gets mad at me. Well, my trivia is too tough.
It's the 12th Ewok one was very, very difficult, but appreciate it because make it too easy. Come on. But again, everybody, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, tell a friend if you haven't. So make sure that you are on our YouTube every single day as 1 minute toy reviews are on there at Scott's Drops. Plus, we always will sprinkle in other aspects of the Starlight Digest as a community, a Star Wars community. So we are working on other 1 minute reviews that are not necessarily toys. So that's all coming. So again, just get connected, stay connected. Join the Patreon or Shadow Council. Check us out. There's a big blurb down there. You can check it out and read for yourself what it all entails, what it all involves. Thank you again, Gavin Connor. I know that you have your all holy hour cure pod thing. Cure
pod thing.
Cure is a band, I guess. Yeah. I guess it's a band that you guys kind of like listen to. I know Scott mentions it every You know,
My
I
wife
have to
says your
block
little
them sometimes.
podcast. It's like it's a regular sized podcast.
I didn't mean the podcast. I meant like the Cure. You know what I mean? Like
Wow.
you know?
Wow.
Yes, yes, they are a thing. And
go ahead and plug it. What are you
Oh,
on? Are you
just everywhere? If you're into the Cure, go ahead and type it in, the Holy Hour podcast, the All Cure podcast, and
Awesome.
you know, anything Cure related. But you know, I know they're not for everyone. But
It's like
It's
dating
you,
alcohol.
Jazz, and Antonio.
Popular in Germany.
yeah,
they're huge in Belgium. Huge in Belgium.
they sell out shows here, believe it or not.
Every time.
It's all the time. They're huge, actually.
Well,
It's
Scott
really
goes to
hard
every
get-
one of them. It's like,
No, Gavin goes to every one of them.
Yeah.
How many
No
Cure
way.
shows did you see this year?
I did 6, but that was the first time I've done a mega stretch, or not even mega by most people's standards. But
I know.
yeah, it was a good run. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
usually I was just the when they come to town kind of guy growing up. But now I'm like, I gotta make it count.
That's right.
That's awesome.
One,
I
one
love
of
it.
us
No,
is gonna go
it's
soon.
cool.
Me or the Cure? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we always have like gatekeeping discussions on music over here, especially in our
Uh-huh.
chat and stuff. Yeah, no one
true.
agrees with anything.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
it all makes it fun. So sorry about the disparaging Cure comments, but
No problem.
yeah, I'm sure it's fun.
Okay.
Jesus
Good
Christ.
time. I wanted to do a Cure hate episode sometime. So maybe you're my dude. We need to get
Let's
you
go.
on
No, I don't. It's funny though. Like I don't hate them, and I do know a lot more than I should know. But so- I'm like
He'll
one of those
come-
undercover Cure fan. Like I'll listen to, you know what I mean? So
He'll come over. We'll be playing Uno or something, and they'll come on, and he's like,
I'm a self-hating
Uno,
Cure
he's
fan.
popping
Like,
his
that-
head.
okay.
It's his guilty pleasure.
Okay.
yeah. Let's just put it this way: I don't turn them
Yeah.
off when they come on the radio, like I do, like
Okay.
other
Hey,
other
watch
bands.
your
country
mouth.
music. Yeah.
Watch your mouth.
All country music needs
Watch your
to
mouth.
die, burn in hell, and die of gonorrhea. Okay, guys. Anyway, so
Wow.
that was my over the line crossing of this week.
Yeah. All
So-
those hot takes at the end, right at the end. Just
Exactly. We're leaving it live this time.
Friends.
So
there you go.
you
Awesome.
thought wrong, Mister. All right, guys. Well, everybody, we'll take it easy. We'll see you in a week or two.
Yep.
About 2 weeks. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks from today. Yeah.
With that, Scott.
Keep it nerdy, everybody.
Oh, you didn't.
Did you want me to do the whole thing? Because I can. I mean,
What
there's
thing?
Tashi Station Emporium.
Just
you
don't.
all
They
the
know where to get them. Who
toys and the
cares? Nobody
stuff.
cares.
You
Nobody
know,
cares anymore.
follow us on Instagram.
I did all that.
Sorta.
Thanks
Bye.
for having me on, guys.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Keep it nerdy, buddy.
It crashes at
Keep
the
it
end. So
nerdy.
don't worry about it.
This is Grand Admiral Thrawn. You are listening to the Sarlacc Digest. What a fascinating play on words.